few years ago, I was called into a client. Their project had to be delivered in 3 months, or they were going to face some massive fines from the government. In his words, everything was going wrong. So we brought in a team of project rescue consultants, and it didn't take us long to work out exactly what was happening. Firstly, the leader was the wrong person. This was a finance project, and he used to be an accountant, but that doesn't make him a program leader. Secondly, his managers weren't empowered to actually roll the change out to their teams. And finally, the project communications left something to be desired. Nobody in the organization understood what was going on, or why they even had to change. What we were seeing was the impact of not empowering your leaders to drive change through your organization. So what is the impact of this to an organization? What you find is high levels of resistance, people not wanting to show up to meetings or come on board with the changes. Your change won't stick. You roll out the change and no one wants to come on board with it. And finally, you don't get any return on investment. You spent millions of dollars on these new systems and you get nothing to show for it. Now, change is everywhere. Whether we're talking about a software change, a culture change, a process change, a policy change, every single day, companies are changing the way they do business in order to remain competitive. But if we look at project failure rates, they are still incredibly high. And depending on what source you look at, project failure is anywhere from 40% to 94%. So the question is, what are we doing wrong that is causing issues for these projects to fail? And I think there are 3 areas we are looking at. The first one is around senior leadership. Our leaders are not equipped with the skills they need to lead projects through their teams, both sponsors all the way down to middle management. On top of that, they're busy. They'll have a project to run on top of all of their day jobs. We expect a lot of our leaders, and they're not coping. The second issue is around how we structure organizations. Our companies are still very siloed. And with the new projects that are coming out around data and AI, these projects require each different part of the organization to speak to one another. And so while we're running these projects, we are missing key stakeholders because we don't know who they are. And that causes high impact to the project down the line. And the third aspect is around our communications and how we engage our workforce. Nobody wants to see an email about what's happening again. To get people inspired, to want them to come on the journey, we need to create engaging ways that we can inspire, share the project vision, the vision for the future, and how we're going to be working. We need to do things differently. We need our leaders to drive our changes. So what does leader-led change look like? It's when leaders are empowered to inspire and drive their teams towards change. And these are leaders at every single level of the organization. And why is that? It's because leaders are the catalysts for change. They're the ones who their employees look up to. They're the ones who can talk about a vision and have that one-on-one communication relationship with each and every one of their team members to make sure that they are the ones embracing the change. What we find when we implement leader-led change is a huge uptake in adoption of the technology or the change. We find that resistance is lowered immensely because people have open door opportunities to share their concerns along every step of the way. And we find we get a return on investment. All of that money that we spent on our projects actually will come back to us because what we have changed becomes adopted and embraced across our company. Leaders are in a unique position to drive culture change and make decisions on behalf of their team that can impact the future. The key is that leaders can drive decisions which create outcomes which lead to return on investment.